Anyhow, I just came to another podcast, so I'm from one podcast to another one. Yeah,
Did you interview or
I was interviewed.
you are interviewed? Wow. Tell us what it is so we can participate.
Anyhow,
So we can listen.
I just came to another podcast, so I'm from one podcast to another one. Yeah,
Did
okay.
you
I'm hearing myself double on the YouTube. We are live on YouTube so right now. So yeah, I'm not sure if hello. Ooh, Suzuki Bonaki. What an honor. I feel so honored. You're a very rare person to be seen lately, Miss Susie.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I know. I still enjoy you. So I'm fine. I'm happy, you know. I'm not saying, I'm just saying I'm happy. Hello, Eliana, Aluka, welcome. Alina Petrovich, that's a new name.
Hello.
I'm happy. Hi. Hello. Great. A little bit of, we're gonna wait, I will say a few more minutes, like 8-10, still started. So we're not gonna have like a head start without everybody to be ready. But yeah. So how are you, Miss Susie? What are you doing new? How is your booming process?
I am just about this evening. I'm going to publish a really short course that's going to be, when I first put it out, it's going to be free. It's a short course called The Busy Woman's Guide to Buying Your First Rental Property. And it's just a way to make it really easy for women who have full-time jobs and just don't feel like they have enough time, but want to get involved in real estate investing. So it's like a first step, buying the first property.
I would definitely want to have it to read it.
Well, if you put your email in the chat, I will send you the link for it. I don't have the link ready yet, but I'll
Okay.
send you the link when I have it.
Well, you can send it on WhatsApp. 'Cause we are all there. But just in case anybody has questions about Miss Susie, she's all about ladies. You know, I was the only man in her meetings that was wandering around there. But it was a good meeting. So, but yeah, I'm still enjoying when she's popping up. She's one of the first people that we had in the group. So I'm always pleased to see her. Anyhow, Marlena, are you ready? You put your stuff together because we're gonna have like 4 more minutes and I'm gonna start to roll.
Yes, definitely. I'm ready.
Okay, let me try to see to do also a live. I'm gonna try something. Anybody can try to do something for me. I'm gonna put a link because I'm trying something new. I'm trying to stream in 2 channels in the same time from Zoom, which usually that allows you only 1 channel. So what I'm gonna do tonight is gonna be a unique feature that we're trying to do. So I'm gonna share in the chat my link, and if it's possible, somebody to go there to check to see if we have sound. Because last time when I tried to do this, well, I would say we had like a beautiful 2 hours with no sound. So we don't want to do the same mistake twice, you know. And yeah, it's a learning curve. Definitely it is. So right now we're gonna go to stream it also on Facebook. So if somebody goes there, let me know if they can hear it with sound on YouTube.
I checked it out. There is sound.
There's sound?
On YouTube, there is sound.
Yay! Good news, good news. Because we're trying to do like a Facebook and YouTube in the same time. So let's see if magic can happen. We have to, you know, split the camera in 2. So I'm gonna be only half one here, half on the other one. So trying to do some magic. Okay, so let's see here. Gonna have the live event, live video. And we're gonna be live on Facebook. Oh. The beauty. Okay, right. So that's wonderful. Can somebody let me know if they can see us on Facebook now? Ooh, it's getting challenging. Yeah, we got challenges here. Here it show me that we are streaming, but what do I know? Okay, so right now we're supposed to be fine on Facebook and YouTube, but if you're gonna check there to make sure it's rolling, here it's showing me that it's rolling. We have a share screen with sharing information, so everything that you post is gonna be in front of everybody. So do not post secrets, no password, please, no social security, okay? Nothing like that. I cannot hold the secret. Okay, ready to roll. Okay. So I'm just gonna make the intro and let everybody know we are rolling. So in that way, if somebody wants to come over, we're here. Wonderful, wonderful. Good. This being said, let's start. Nobody told me nothing about Facebook. Did anybody check the Facebook?
I'm looking for it.
On inside of the Grow Mastermind group, you go to the event and supposed to be under the event as a streaming, live streaming from the event. You go event, click on the tab. That's what I see here.
Well, the event had a link to come here.
Yes, I put a link there for people that want to come here, but I also want to stream it. So I press the button to stream it live on Facebook to try to see if it works. I'm not sure yet because I used to use it was a application called Restreaming, and it has a lot of challenges because it doesn't want to, only if you're streaming live without to put it on Zoom, it's allowing you, or to use a different other way, which I didn't want to do it. So
It's not
anyway,
streaming on the event page.
is that a show? Okay, we're gonna have it on YouTube and then we're gonna share later there on the event. It's gonna be easier, but I want to put it on YouTube to try something different. But yes, okay. This being said, I'm not gonna waste any more moment, and I'm gonna start it. So we're gonna have our guest, amazing guys, amaze us, and Mastermind. Who is ready to start?
Yeah, ready.
Ready? Yay! Okay. Welcome everybody to Grow Mastermind Group. We're a group of entrepreneurs here to encourage other entrepreneurs to succeed in their path. And tonight we're gonna have an amazing guest. Her name is Marilena Albu, and she's gonna tell us how to get rid of the imposter syndrome. Without further ado, I'm gonna let our guest introduce herself and tell more about her journey and to take over from there. Marilena, please take it from here.
Hello, good evening. How are you doing? First of all, I want to acknowledge you for being here tonight. You could have been anywhere else, like watching a movie, playing a game, taking a walk outside, However, you are here listening to me, and you are here in this mastermind community because you want to learn and grow. So I want to thank you for participating today. And I am, for those who don't know me, Marilena Albu. I'm a former aerospace engineer. I am a life coach right now. I started this, I have this startup, which is called Sapphire Coaching Group Club. And tonight I am going, let me tell you, I am working with women in the 9-to-5 job. I am empowering them and to step fully into their potential and become more confident and move up to their career and move up in their career, whether it's climbing the corporate ladder or becoming an entrepreneur. So tonight I'm going to talk about imposter syndrome. And for that, I like to share my screen if I can. For some reason, it won't let me do it right now. So Peter, is there anything that you can do to help me, like to share my screen? You're on mute, Peter.
You have the co-host, so you're supposed
Okay,
to...
now I can. I
Okay.
wasn't able to do it earlier, but now I can. Okay. I am not seeing my screen. Desktop, okay.
Supposed to be able to have everything because I give it to the co-host. So
okay.
you see it?
I can see it now. Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
So tonight we're going to talk about the breakthrough of the imposter syndrome and winning with confidence. Before we go there, I want to remind you about this mastermind. So according to Napoleon Hill in the Law of Success, the mastermind may be created to the bringing together or blending in a spirit of perfect harmony of two or more minds. Then he goes on in the Think and Grow Reach to identify that mastermind as a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage one to follow through with both plan and purpose. So that being said, I would encourage you to participate in the conversation that we're going to have, and I would engage you in the conversation in this tonight, in the presentation tonight. So I am going to introduce you about the type of the imposter syndrome and what does it look like? Why is it important to identify it and gain awareness? What are the origins of the imposter syndrome? And how can you manage the imposter syndrome? So the imposter syndrome refers to an internal experience of believing that you are not as competent as others perceive you to be. For example, I would give you a personal example. As I said earlier, I worked as an aerospace engineer, so I worked in the corporate world. And I have done a presentation one day. There were like about 35 people. There was my manager, there was my technical supervisor, and the meeting went well. However, I didn't see it as successful because I was nervous. I'm not expecting as many people in the room. And there were some questions and I answered some questions, but on other questions, like my manager and my technical advisor, they answered. So I was like, okay, the meeting went okay, but I didn't think that was great. Later on, I was walking in the hallway and I met with my manager face to face. And he said, Marilena, congratulations for the presentation today, for the meeting today. I was so impressed. And I was like, it was a team effort. Right at that moment, he turned around and he said, hey, Marilena, you need to be more confident. You did really well, own it. So in my mind, it was, oh, I am being humbled, or I didn't see the meeting as successful, but my manager saw it as very successful. He even said, I'm so impressed. But that was a lesson for me because he told me to be more confident. So I was seen as lack of confidence instead of being humbled and acknowledging my team for the success of the meeting. So that's exactly what it says in here, believing that you are not as competent as others perceive you to be. Also, the imposter syndrome is the psychological phenomenon known as imposter syndrome, reflects a belief that you're an inadequate and incompetent failure, despite evidence that indicates you're skilled and quite successful. This is experienced mostly by high achievers. High achievers, they are usually people that get promoted to some certain positions, and they do not see themselves as successful, and they do not see themselves as adequate to and competent to hold that position. That comes with getting out of the comfort zone and doing something different. And of course, with getting a new responsibility, it comes the learning curve. It goes the learning curve. So I don't think anybody expects that somebody is perfect once they get promoted to that position. I think everybody knows that there is a learning curve and there is a period of time that it takes for somebody to get adequated in that position, to get comfortable in that position. It also takes various forms depending on a person's background, personality, and circumstances. So, for example, on the person's background, it depends where we come from when we grew up. Like, for example, if your parents told you that you're not good enough all the time, or your parents always told you don't brag about your achievements and be humble, or of course you would always have that tendency because you're programmed that way, you have that tendency to think that way. So with the personality, same, like being humble, being more closed, not being an extrovert, like being an introvert. And it depends on the circumstances. For example, if you're in an environment that is very competitive, or if you're in an environment that your manager is micromanaging people, or a toxic environment, and you always feel like you're not enough. You always will have that internal dialogue inside of you, or internal insatisfaction. So it affects both genders. It usually occurs to people that are in the transition in their life. For example, we have a lot of coaches or a lot of entrepreneurs that transition from something that they knew how to do really well, and now they're transitioning in an area that they're new and they're learning and they're discovering. So it's more common to encounter this symptom, to experience this imposter syndrome. So I have a question. Do you ever doubt, discount, or underestimate your achievements? please write down in the chat so I know what you're thinking about and what you have in your mind. Now I have to see the chat. I'm looking for, I see, yes, yes. I experienced that myself. So that's why I'm right now in this position where I'm talking about this subject. I'm going to read some statements with you, and I want you to tell me if any of these statements resonate with you. I obtain success, and you name the success that you obtain, like the director position or this high value job, or I have 10 coaching clients, or I have this startup. So I obtained the success because I was lucky, or I was in the right place at the right time. I worried that others would find out that I am not as competent and as capable as they think I am. So here I put this Dr. Fauci in the parentheses. So going back at the early stages of the COVID and early summer, we have seen numerous presence in the public presence of Dr. Fauci telling us some things about how to prevent COVID or how COVID is manifesting in people and what are the consequences and what to do for it, like in the World Health Organization. So then he was telling us, wear a mask, do not wear a mask. It's okay to do this or that. So I'm wondering how, if he experienced that symptom himself, because in my researches, I found out that many of the successful people, they experience this syndrome because with the level of with the level of success, it comes a level of responsibility. The higher you are in your rank on your position, the more responsibility you have. So now I'm wondering, and probably true, that many people internalize themselves and asking themselves, am I doing the right thing? Have I done enough? Are they, if they release a statement, I'm wondering if they worry about, oh, are they going to find out that I'm a fraud, or at any moment I might be exposed to be a fraud, or things like that. So I want to ask you, and go ahead and unmute your mic, if you experienced any of the statements that I put in here, any of the symptoms of or statements that you put in here. Who wants to volunteer? Say aye.
Aye.
All right, Susie.
So I was very lucky with real estate early on, and I definitely, I will say that I was lucky and I was in the right place at the right time, and I actually believe that that is true, because I happened to hear an economist talking about what the situation was back in when that first big, when we had the big real estate bubble back in 2006 to 2007, and then everything collapsed. I heard an economist talk about California was at 4% affordability, and so I went and sold my properties at the height of their value and did a 1031 exchange and bought properties in Texas where they had already had their bubble burst over there. They had a tech bubble that burst. And so it was lucky that I was there. And I know that part of it was because I was paying attention. But I definitely feel I was lucky. And I think that when you're talking about imposter syndrome, I think it's very much more prevalent with women, and I see it all the time. And it's a really difficult thing to deal with. And I hope you're going to tell us how to deal with it tonight.
Yes, definitely. So, Susie, I have a question. You're saying that you're lucky. My question is, don't you think you did your researches, you paid your attention, you were intentional about obtaining that property, where you're thinking about selling those property for a profit for a long time, and now that was the right time, but because you were intentional about it, not because it just happened.
You know, I was, I think part of it too was that I wasn't afraid. I actually hadn't been thinking about selling it, but when I heard him say that, I knew that I needed to sell it, that it was worth more at that moment, that townhouse was worth more at that moment than it would be for another at least 10 years. And so I took action that night, called my ex-husband who owned it with me, and I said, we need to put it on the market tomorrow. And so we did.
Okay, so I would say that was a good instinct that you had, but that instinct comes with experience. There are many people that might not have that instinct, but that's because they don't have the experience that he had.
Yeah. I will accept that.
It's your success. Own it. Accepted it.
Okay.
So that was a really good example, because something as simple as, oh, I had these properties and I heard on the radio that, oh, the properties are 4% higher than the market value. The properties in California, and I went ahead and sold them. I was like, that's not something that it just happens. It's something that comes with experience. It comes with a certain instinct that comes with experience, and you are smart enough to make the move, to do the take the risk and do the move. But that's because you're smart.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So that was a really good example. Who else has struggled with imposter syndrome? Give me an example when this happened to you. And please tell me, how often do you catch yourself in the negative thought? I want to, Alina, you have an example?
Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm done. I mean, I'm asking the question.
Yeah, sure. So I was recently promoted, which I've been working very hard for many years for this promotion. And it is as if I can't believe it, actually. And just going back to your previous slide, the middle question where, you were saying, I worry that others would find out that I'm not fit for the role, but in itself, my managers and leadership have been promoting me because they've followed my success, and they constantly actually have to remind me not to overachieve. So it's just a battle between the fear of they will find out that I'm not fit for this, and that causes me to overachieve, and then it's like it's an imbalanced I guess presentation of myself, and I think they had at some point they get worried that I may overwork certain aspects of the role, or I don't know if they get worried. Again, this is maybe just the imposter syndrome I'm feeling right now. So that's where I'm at.
Yes, thank you so much. That's a really good example. And I could see you working on presentation hours and hours and hours to just make it just perfect.
Correct.
So my question to you is, before you got to that director position, how many years have you worked on a role?
I have worked on a role, the previous role that promoted this one, for about 6 years.
Okay, so 6 years working on a role and perfecting it, right? Like taking it from a ground level and then taking it to a higher level. That qualified you to get you proved yourself to get in the director's role. Don't you think?
I think so. If I practically think about it, it is a natural progression to the promotion. Yeah, just proving myself.
But naturally you feel that anxiety and you feel
Right.
like, what if I'm not competent enough? There is a certain truth there where it says what got you here won't get you there, right? So for example, you got there at a position that you were because you are bringing a lot of clients, you are working really hard. However, in the director position, you have to work yourself harder, but in different way. And taking that leadership role, you have to grow in the leadership role, not exactly the execution role that you're used to be working before. So identifying and analyzing the situation and being able to separate, and also being able to separate and delegate, right? Like the execution part, you have to delegate it to your team now, and now you have to focus on the soft skills, like the emotional intelligence skills, which makes you a great leader, right?
Right.
So then another thing that I was going to suggest to you is, like, you got where you got, not because somebody's doing you a favor. You got where you got because they saw your potential. They saw a lot of results, great results, and they saw you being successful. So you are successful. I would say own it.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So,
thank you. That was really good. We should talk more about shifting that leadership perspective, from execution to, offline or something like that. Yeah.
Yes. So for those who you don't know, Alina is my client. She's a perfect example that I can testify here that we're working on shifting some limited beliefs, and I'm making her successful in the director position. And she's already successful, but it's just a little bit shifting the pattern of thinking, the automatic negative belief that she had thought that she has. So we're working on that a little bit. But
but these were new insights about the shift. We haven't talked about the shift, so
okay, yeah, definitely we'll work on that. And at the end, I will touch on that, and I have other tips for you and for everybody. So let's learn how to identify the imposter syndrome and how it shows up in our lives. The experience is different for every individual, right? So Susie, she was lucky. Alina, she feels like she's not belonging there. She doesn't deserve the position. And we'll find out. I was in the same situation. I wasn't accepting my success, and also later on, I'll give you another example where I was like, I felt like I need to know it all, and I need to do everything. I need to be a design engineer, a tool engineer, everybody. When in fact, there are specialists that they do that. So I just needed to do my part and then get the other parts together. So it shows up, and everybody experiences it in different way, like anxiety, and which is a very common future when you are worried about whether you belong in your role, whether you are going to be removed from that position or not. So most most of these examples, it comes with the crisis. For example, if companies with the pandemics, companies went through a lot of crisis. So a lot of people felt the anxiety that, oh, what if they find out that I'm not good enough and now they want to get rid of me, or things like that. So they like people could find themselves in the situation where they were afraid, and they were thinking, well, what if they get rid of me tomorrow or let me go tomorrow? Then there's a fear of failure. You are putting in hours and hours to present a presentation, making sure that you are getting that just right, and anticipated that you are going to fail, getting more worried. So putting an anticipation, a negative thought, that's not going to help anybody. And it's not going to help you, and it's not going to help the organization either. A strong need to be the best, how you feel in a group of people that you are equally qualified. For example, coaches. A lot of us coaches, we transition from a 9-to-5 job, and now we're transitioning this coaching business. And I bet you'll find yourself thinking, oh, I'm not qualified enough, or what if I give this, I'm coaching this client, and what if they find out that that I'm not competent enough, or I don't know enough, or when in reality. So this goes to the next, it's a segue to the next a bullet, which is the perfectionism, which is held by people as a badge of honor. And there's no such thing. They advise us, if you have it 70% done, go ahead and release that course. Go ahead and release that program. Go ahead and release that course. And then you can do some iteration later. You can improve it, do some iterations. You can always improve it. So don't wait until something is perfect. You're not going to get it perfect. Don't go and do training and training and training, because the more you want to learn and more you know, the more you find out that you don't know enough. So then what are you going to do? You're just gonna, you cannot earn a living. So yeah, go ahead and step into that role and own it. Own your success, own your qualifications, even if it's 70%, own it, because you're gonna get better from there. Unwillingness to internalize positive feedback. Like I said, manager told me, oh, I'm so impressed with the presentation you had. And I was like, oh, it's a team effort. So I was giving the success to everybody else instead of like, I couldn't internalize it. So he said, hey, Marilena, you need to learn how to receive positive feedback. And then fear of success. Comes from the family background. Perhaps I'm the only one, the first one that went to university and got a job in the corporate world. And so it's always like this family background, like I felt like years before was holding me down, you know. I couldn't see myself progressing because I didn't want to get ahead too much ahead of who I was, where I came from. So that's limited beliefs that could help us, could hold us down. What is important? Why is it important to identify it and gain awareness? Well, when we have this anxiety and we have these negative thoughts, we get physical and emotional stress. From there goes relationship issues. We reduce personal satisfaction and motivation, and we risk the unreached potential. For example, the example that I just gave earlier, where like I'm coming from a family background that they didn't have higher education. So now for me, not stepping out of the comfort zone and striving to become more and more is like holding me back. I have a potential that now I'm not reaching it, but it was before, not right now, but it happened in the past. So what are the origins of the imposter syndrome? We touched a little bit earlier on it, but I can go in more details on this. The origins can be the early family influences, family myths and labels, criticism. When we were kids, there were parents who told the kids, oh, well, you're not good enough, you're not going to be able to achieve that, you're not able to complete anything, you know, you start. I met with a lady the other day, and she said she cannot do anything. She said she cannot complete any project, she cannot take anything from the beginning to the end because her mother always told her that. And now she was 50 something. And I felt so bad for her because living the whole life with this thought and not being able to shift it. And I was trying to work with her. And I remember for me, those words that I told her like would be so powerful, but it had no influence on her. So it really can hold us down. So like I said earlier, first in the family, limited role models need to chart new territory. Like, for example, I heard somebody that he always wanted to be less than his father because he didn't want to outsmart his father. So first one to go to college, first one to win a competition, first one to own a business. We also have struggle with to live to others' expectations. In other families, their parents, they're praising the kids too much and expecting too much out of them. So now they're afraid of failure. They're afraid to try new things because they're afraid to fail, because they're afraid to not meet their parents' expectations. So how do we manage the imposter syndrome, the strategies? And here you go, you know, I'm gonna teach you some tips and tricks how to work on that. Start by acknowledging the presence of the imposter syndrome. Oh, I'm missing an E. So start to acknowledge the presence of it. By noticing, naming it, writing it down, you disarm it, you take the power away from it. So just think that this imposter syndrome is nothing else than a negative belief, a negative thought in your mind, and it's actually an automatic negative thought because we're programmed with that since we were young. And we just build up on that, and we didn't work on it until recently, right? Like for me. But so of course it can be automatic. Saying it out loud, you dilute the power. So just recognize that the negative thought, what is it, and name it. Say, oh, that's an imposter syndrome. So saying it out loud, you take the power away from it and realize that you're not alone. As you saw in this example, there are other people that in the class tonight, in the session tonight, there are other people that experience that. And as I said earlier, the greater leaders or the high achievers are experiencing those alone. If you are, if the feeling, go back, if you have that feeling, go back to when you were a child. And if you feel like you cannot work on that and it goes back and back and it holds you back, get a therapist. A coach can help you see the things in the future and help you shape your thoughts and your behavior, you know, in the present and to the future, how you see things in the future. But a coach cannot help you with the with the past experiences. So it's better to get a therapist if that's the case. Another great thing, and I love this one, own your success. Write down at the end of each day what you are proud of. Write down 3 things that you have done well that day. Note, by writing it down, you are training your brain that you are doing great work. And you're shifting that thought pattern because you're doing that every single night. So then, you know, they say it takes 21 days to shift to gain a new behavior. So being consistent and doing that consistently, it would work. You will create much less bandwidth for those things that you are worried about. So by focusing on the positive, you're creating less space for the things that you were worried about. You're creating less space for the negative thoughts. We need to embrace that fact that we're not here by accident. No one is doing us a favor to put us in this position. So, and then pay attention to your strengths. That comes with own your success, pay attention to your strengths, what you're good at, what you're doing well, and have confidence to be able to contribute, to be of service. So if you have confidence, then you have more power to contribute to be of service of others. For you, Alina, being a director, you have the whole team like below you that you are in charge of, and you have to be in service of them. Because remember, the leader is the servant, right?
Correct.
How can you imagine, have a daily gratitude practice. At the end of the day, write down what you are grateful for. Gratitude changes the way we see things, and it changes the chemical in the brain. Another way to deal with this, leverage your resources. Recognize your strengths and your weaknesses. Delegate. You cannot know everything. Willing to tell people what we need. Ask for help. Another strategy is evaluate your environment. If you work in a toxic environment, if you have a manager that is micromanaging, that makes you feel you are not good enough, you ask yourself a question. Is this a place that I could thrive? Is this a place good for me? And if not, it is important to recognize that you have choices. Do not feel hostage by these groups, manager, that is not empowering you. Remember that you are there by choice. And if it is not the right fit for you, you have a choice to go someplace else. Practice envisioning, and I love this one because I'm doing it and it works. For example, start the morning with 10 minutes meditation, envisioning your day, planning your day in your head. Remember, the night before, you could write down some tasks that you have to do the next day. That morning, the next day morning, envision how your day is gonna go. With your eyes closed, walk through the task and the big milestones that you have to hit. Imagine that you are delivering a perfect presentation, a perfect webinar. Anticipate what people are going to say, positive thoughts, how they are going to be impacted by your message, how people are going to contact you at the end of the seminar, asking you for a one-on-one consultation, discovery call. If you are in the workplace, Imagine how your boss and coworkers are coming to you to congratulate you. Smile as many times as you can, or one that day in your imagination. Imagine that everyone you interact smiles back at you when you smile. Imagine that everyone loves you. Think about any negative feedback as constructive criticism. Think about what can you learn from that negative feedback instead of thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure. Think about what can I learn from this? And when your boss or your other coworkers or anybody that you interact with and gives you negative feedback, when they see you taking the negative feedback as a way to improve and to grow yourself, they would appreciate you even more. And know your worth. You belong to the position you are holding. You're not there by accident. You are there for a reason and you are qualified for it. And with that, I welcome you to ask me any questions. Walk through the task and the big milestones that you have. It's very hard to understand you. I don't know what's going on. Looks like you're
Can you hear me? I managed to place everything on right now. I just finished the live on Facebook, so now it was a live Facebook, live on Instagram, and we just finished a live on LinkedIn. So we were all over the place.
Okay.
So sorry about that, but I was trying to screen myself. But yes, what I was trying to ask, and I think everybody would like to know if it's any, like I will say, like a sequence that you can recommend people to kind of follow to get to that, from the place of self-sabotaging, or like imposter, syndrome, to move it to a place of acceptance,
Yes.
If anything that you can like recommend, like in a few steps, so people, they will be like, okay, I think I'm on that path, and now I'm gonna have to follow this, and this to get there, so I'm not gonna be getting back to that imposter syndrome.
Yes, definitely. So as I said, acknowledge it, being able to recognize it, name it out. You put a name on it, you tell it what it is. Oh, it's imposter syndrome. Oh, I'm feeling. So you immediately and then ask yourself, is that 100% true? Then write it down, because you want to write down. The minute you write down, and then after you write down, and as I said, you dilute the power of it. Then after you write down, you might want to throw the piece of paper away or like burn it. So then you kind of take that away from you, right? And then also, as I said, write down the successes you had, the things that you accomplished. Own your success, own your worth, know your worth. And then the imagination, imagine in your head, like in the morning, or like do this visualization in your head and imagine like the thing. So that's, I would say, that habit for doing it, like being consistent and doing it for 21 days, that is very powerful, and hopefully you can continue to do it longer than that. So that is very powerful, like acknowledging your small wins, celebrate small wins, acknowledging your worth, being more confident, and imagine and plan your day in your head, and have that positive intent for the day and positive outcome. I think that is very powerful, and if you do this, you would get rid of that imposter syndrome.
Okay. And now, just because you brought a subject of putting on the paper and burn it out. Now, I want to ask you something that it might resonate with some people. Yeah. And I can tell you from my experience that in the moment I have something, usually I have like those, I will say, negative thoughts. Yeah, that it comes in my mind and I'm trying to get rid of them. Yeah. So negative thoughts is part of that, I will say, imposter syndrome. It is integrated.
Automatic negative thoughts.
Yeah. So do you have something that you would recommend in the moment these negative thoughts are coming in, and you have like a habit or maybe I would say a sequence that you pass through? So in that way, in the moment you're gonna get to that point of the negative thought, to take it in a positive way without to, I would say, necessarily writing down. Like,
Without writing it down?
Yes.
Just in your head, just trying to acknowledge it without writing it down. Acknowledge in your head, oh, this happened. Is this, ask yourself, is this 100% true? The minute you ask yourself, is this 100% true? You take away the power from those negative thoughts. You're gonna realize, you're gonna start questioning yourself. Oh, I don't think it's true. Because first you think you're a firm believer that that is true, but the minute you start questioning, you take away the power from that. And I can host a seminar on that. But it's like the whole shifting of from negative thought, recognizing it, asking if it's 100% true, and then if it's about anybody else is involved, try talk to that person. Try ask questions. If somebody didn't answer your text or your phone, you might think, oh, they don't want to talk to me, or you might think, oh, they're just ignoring me or something like that, when in fact they probably didn't have time. They're caught up with a lot of tasks and a lot of work, and that has nothing to do with you. So
never assume, never presume.
Yes, so trying to connect with that person and asking question directly, if it bothers you that much, then they will say no. Like, I was really busy, I had so many clients or so many house views, I was showing so many properties and I was swamped, and the family I had to take somebody at the hospital. You had no way to know that unless you talk to that person.
This is something like one of those stories. It was, I don't know if you know, I'm pretty sure you know about that story with the two wolves, the negative, the bad wolf, the black one and the white one. And then the one that, the white one is the one that it's amazing. He's positive, he's upbeat, and he's like the one that it makes you to, smile and everything. And the black wolf, the one that's negative, it's sabotaging every time, it's taking you down, it's always trying to make the evilest gesture with you. And when the question was asked, which one you're going to listen to, or which one is the one that's going to take over you, is the one that you feed. In other words, the one that you are, from those thoughts, that the one that you feel more and you are more, I would say, considering them, allow you to feed on you, is the one that takes the control over your body, over your, I would say, thoughts, and over your actions. Because at the end of the day, everything we have in our mind is transition in actions. So we have to make sure that we're not going to feed the wrong one. And
yeah, don't feed those negative thoughts. Also, I would say the negative thoughts or imposter syndrome is like a crying child.
Yeah.
So that crying child is craving for attention. The moment you have those negative thoughts, when you acknowledge it, is like like hugging that child, and that child is going to stop crying. So imagine that analogy, and try to calm that child down, and then put a spin on it. From a negative thought, put a positive thought on it. And I do want to host a seminar on that. It's repeatingly, but it's like people would understand more and more, because trust me, the more we hear something, the more it gets to us, because just hearing it once is powerful, but we might forget it after a few days. But when you hear it again and again, that's when it, like, we train our mind to act on it, to act in a positive way.
Indeed. Anybody has any question? I'm not sure. Let me see if anybody put any question here. I saw some comments, but questions. Lot of comments, but no questions. So anybody has a question? Susie, Alina, Mr. Troy Holder.
Hi, Troy. How are you?
He was silent. While watching
I'm
me.
sure you had a lot of these syndromes when you grew up into your early adulthood, right?
Let's make sure that
I'm not calling you out. It's just, you know, I mean, we all had it. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, it is that one of the things that we just talked today. I told you I was earlier in the podcast. It was this idea that we grew up in this environment, and I put there a comment. I'm not sure if you saw it. That the first 7 years of our lives, basically, we are getting shaped, and our parents they do their best to shape us in a human being, to say like that they want us to become. And even if their intention is the best, and they do what they know best for us, it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. And a lot of this imposter syndrome, a lot of these negative thoughts, a lot of this, I would say, push down thoughts about not to be out of obscurity, not to be getting yourself having trouble, not to get yourself in out of the comfort zone, to be, I would say, talking with strangers, don't get in trouble. All those things are actually opposite with what is called entrepreneurship, opposite what is called leadership. Because for you to become a good leader, you really have to kind of do everything else. You have to talk with strangers, because strangers is your networking. If you're not networking with people, you're not going to be able to strive to do better. You have to get yourself in trouble, because trouble, wherever it's a problem, it is usually an opportunity for you there to find a solution, to solve somebody, to help somebody. And I always see this thing that we've been, I would say, put in a shell of perfection for the perfect society, and this perfect society is nothing that I would say prison on our mind. And in the moment you become an entrepreneur, you realize that, well, you've been all this time in that jail, in that limited belief, in that comfort of your own mind, and now you have to get out to be able to become successful. And usually that's the moment when you wake up, that's the moment when it becomes painful. That's the moment when the imposter syndrome is going to be, oh, maybe I'm not doing the right thing, maybe what my family is going to say about this, what my friends they're going to say. And I heard so many stories that and even from my personal experience, every time I used to go out, after work, when I used to work, and we're going out, having beers and everything. And then the moment I stop and I start to be like more conservative with my time, they were pointing fingers. You're already too good for us. You're not, you forget about, you know, your friends. You are not anymore caring, you know, you are like selfish, you are like this. And a lot of people, they say, oh my gosh, you know, I'm supposed to go back because, you know, I'm not anymore welcoming in my friends group and but actually that's the best sign that you ever get in your life, when people they start to watch you and say, you're not anymore like us.
When they see you growing, they feel uncomfortable for your growth and for your
Yeah,
success.
there are 3 stages actually. You know, it's like the first one I think is they kind of I forgot exactly the name of the stage, but the first one is the one that they're gonna be like starting to be like, hey, you know, not trusting you. You know, they're not trusting what you're doing. They're not, you know, they're like kind of don't give you the benefit, and they doubt your success and the fact that you're gonna become good. Then the other one, when they criticize you, you know, you work too much, you're doing that, you're doing whatever, you know, and they also envy you, you know, on that stage, hate you, if you want to say that. Hate for me means love, you know. And the last one, when they're like, oh my gosh, he made it, and then they start to follow you, they start to like, how you get there? Show me. Now they want to become. But for you to get on top, you have to pass through those obstacles, to those challenges, to those, I would say, objections, just like in sales. Yeah. For me, anything that it is a stepping stone, you know, is just something that I have to learn how to overcome. And it's good when you have objection, when people, they start to like, I would say, talking you back, hating you, give you obstacles. Those are learning curves. It's like, you know, like when you have an objection for your customers, take the note down, you research it, and you put there, you know, how to overcome it. The next time when you have that objection, you know how to say it. It's done. And that's the same thing. I think, you know, like exactly like you said, Marina, earlier, yeah, you have to take notes, but you know, it is very important to kind of understand that it's not an easy path, but the fact it's not easy is the right way. That's how it works.
Yeah, growing is not easy. Growing takes you out of the comfort zone and it's a painful process. So embrace the pain, everybody.
Yeah. And
I know I am.
And embrace the critics, okay?
And it's a rewarding process too.
Yeah. If the people criticize you, woohoo, you're doing the right thing.
Yes, and take it as a positive, as that they have an interest for you to grow and learn, for you to expand, that have an interest for you to succeed. That's my boss was challenging me. I was like, I am not good at public speaking. The minute I go in front of the audience, I'm gonna forget everything. And guess what? He scheduled me a week later to speak in front of like all the directors and seniors and all that. And you know why? Because he wanted me to step out of the comfort zone. He wanted me to succeed.
Yep. And you know, it is like the only way you can, like Grant Cardone said, and you know, I know you start to follow him, but like he's saying, you know, it's like the only the reason you hate sales and the reason you hate something, because you did not practice good enough and long enough to start to love it. You really have to figure out whatever it is, the things that you hate, and start to do more and more and more and more and more and more until you get comfortable with those.
Yeah, they say the minute you feel uncomfortable doing something, that's what you need to do. Exactly the thing that you feel uncomfortable to do it.
This morning I heard something. I was hearing like a podcast, you know, far away. It was not me listening to the podcast. Yeah, not to the speaker, whatever it was, the video. And he was saying that thing with people are trying to avoid problems, and there's a reason they're not growing, they're not successful, because they're avoiding problems. They don't like to get in trouble. It's like, oh no, I don't want problems. And he's like, no, you have to do opposite. Find those problems, look for them. Get yourself in the biggest trouble you can get, because those problems, they're going to be your doors for success.
Yes. So I would say there are no problems. There are opportunities.
Yeah.
There are opportunities for success, to grow, to see other opportunities inside. So here is another thing. I was hosting a mastermind on Mondays with a group of women. And that was seeing everything from a positive perspective. They say, the way you see things, you do things.
Yeah. I think somebody said about something like that, but it's like, wherever your heart wants, your body will follow. Wherever your heart is, your body will follow. Something like that was.
Yeah, I'm a product of that example. I followed my heart finally.
But you have to be also careful, because heart is also something that is comfort. You know, heart is that thing inside of the,
Yeah, like some good feelings. But for me, it was mostly following my heart for fulfilling my purpose, for helping other people, for impacting people in a positive way in their lives. So that's where my heart goes, to other people that struggle in some areas that I've been there myself. And I don't want anybody to be in that position. So I want to help them out.
So just to wrap up the whole thing, 2 questions for you. Yeah. One, if you have only 1 minute with somebody, how you will, somebody's going to ask you, I have this imposter syndrome. Can you please help me? And you only have 1 minute. It's an elevator. Yeah, you're in an elevator, a few floors. Things are moving very fast. And you have to take that, I would say, from that imposter syndrome to a non-imposter syndrome. Can you say in a few words, a very precise and very short way of people to be like, here we go, that's it?
Yeah. So I would say, acknowledge the feeling, name it out, write it down. Then ask yourself, is that 100% true? And then try to switch that around, because the minute you ask yourself, is 100% true, that you start questioning, is that true or not? So then you have that mixed feelings, and then turn that thought around and make it a positive. See it from a positive perspective. And that's it.
Okay, sounds good. And the last thing, where people they can follow you, where people they can learn more about you, and
Yes.
they want a discovery session with you, how they can reach to you.
Yes,
Definitely on YouTube also. So
definitely. So reach out by marilena@gmail.com. I also have a website that is in construction that is going to be up soon. It's called sapphirecoachingclub.com. So reach out, contact me on that. And also on Facebook, LinkedIn, Marilena Albu.
okay.
And I'll be happy to help. Sounds
good. Maria, thank you very much. If anybody has any other question, this is the moment. If not, be quiet forever, something like that.
And also, I think most of you know me, and reach out to me by Facebook or email. I'll write it here in the chat, and give me your email address. If you like the slides, I can provide those to you.
Yeah. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put inside of the
WhatsApp.
Inside of the YouTube, inside of the description, I'm going to put all the information there. So that way, if somebody wants to learn more about you and how to learn how to overcome the imposter syndrome or to grow, they can actually reach out to you and to be able to help them.
Yes, and again, I want to thank you from my heart, everybody, for being here tonight and being part of this learning journey that I'm learning with you, and I'm experiencing those things with you. So thank you so much, and have a great week, everybody. Don't forget, envision in the morning your how the day is gonna go, and then in a positive way, and just see things from a positive perspective. See you next time.
Thank you very much, Raina. Bye.
welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Next week we're
Thank you
gonna
for
have
your time.
Richard Dolan, by the way. Come next week also. Everybody come next week. We have to. Richard
Yeah.
Dolan is gonna be in the house.
Awesome.
Thank you very
Awesome.
much. Bye.